or bringing it in. And so you
Jalaj, one small
two,
thing.
not three.
Yes.
What is airflow?
Airflow
And what one would cover warranty?
is data streaming thing. Okay, so airflow competition, you can say it's kind of Amazon cases that we are going to see in this course. Airflow is therefore your data streaming thing. There's actually two things, live data and then we have a batch data. So right now that things we are doing in this course or mostly in the projects also, we are looking to solve batch data. But then we also have some live data processing that we will see with the help of Amazon Kinesis.
Okay, so it's more like creating the batches and then scheduling them.
No, no, no. Yes, 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 yes. That is Apache Kafka. So it's Apache Airflow is like scheduling the batches. Yes.
Okay.
So just let me confirm this. Yes, you are correct. It's a kind of scheduler, not the other one. So the one I was talked about, that was Apache Kafka, not Airflow. This is nothing but a
Yeah, yeah.
scheduler. You can just it's not too complicated thing. You can just go and learn about this. See, in data engineering there are more than 100 tools right now, or I think 100 is a very less number. There are around more than 2 or 300 tools which are in production right now. So you cannot learn each and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even I got this question. You asked like,
Varsha, you are very low, but I think you said that you got an interview in this an interview.
yeah, yeah. So today, this
See, actually, I'm not able to hear you properly, but one thing I'll tell you to all the guys, as I mentioned just a few minutes back, it's impossible to learn each and every tool that we have in data engineering. We should learn concepts. There are lesser number of concepts than tools are many more. So see what I'm trying to say. If I say in layman language, selling online goods or doing online shopping is an idea or a concept. Okay, Flipkart is also doing, Amazon is also doing, Myntra is also doing, and now there are hundreds of websites which are doing online selling. Which one you prefer, which one you don't, it's a user specific ask. Okay, so some projects may go for GCP, some projects may go for kind of mixed clouds and all those things. Guys.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. So then we should understand what is data warehousing, because the major parts of cloud engineering is, first of all, microprocessing, which we are going to start from today, that is AWS Lambda. Then we have batch processing that we also call ETL. Okay, that we are doing with AWS Glue in this course. You can learn data breaks, you can learn data factory, you can use Talend, you can use Informatica, Teradata. These are all ETL tools, but you should, if your concept of ETL is good, then you can use any tool. Okay, then we have warehousing. Then you should understand what is difference between databases, data warehousing, when to use warehousing. Then in warehousing, we have multiple solutions. We have Redshift, we have Azure Synapse, we have Snowflake, we have Google's BigQuery, we have some other third-party tools also. Then we should understand what is live data processing and difference between batch data, difference between live data processing. So for live data, we have multiple choices again: Apache Kafka, Kinesis, Azure Stream Analytics. Like that, we have, see, tools are many more. You cannot go ahead and learn all the tools. You should focus on your concepts. If your concepts are clear, then you can work on any tool. Okay, so with this note, I'll start sharing my screen and we'll start with AWS Lambda. Okay, so so sometimes like as a normal developer also, we look to run our codes. Okay, so as we have started with this course with Python, we had to install a software called Anaconda. Then we had to configure that and install that, and then we were able to run our codes on that tool. But in cloud, there's a function or there's a service called AWS Lambda, which is known as serverless computing. Okay. And second name is microprocessing architecture you can build with AWS Lambda. So what Lambda is doing? Lambda is nothing but a software or a service which allows you to run your codes. It can execute your code, it can compile your code, and it can give you the output. Okay. In this Lambda service, you can just simply go ahead and instead of worrying about servers, instead of worrying about this management, auto scaling, compute services, you can directly go and start writing your code. Like you can directly start from your logic building instead of managing other infrastructure or hardware. You can directly start from the logic building. Okay, this is the very generic or very easy definition I'm trying to explain to you guys. If I say its original definition, it says AWS Lambda is a serverless event-driven compute service that lets you run your code virtually for any type of application or backend service without provisioning or managing servers. This exactly means what I said. We can run our codes. Supported programming languages are Python, Java, .NET, Node.js, Go. Okay. And also you can create the packages of other languages and you can run those if required. And this is mostly used in the backend processing of your services. Many websites are using Lambda for their task. And then event-driven means we can trigger this Lambda. That means we can start running these Lambdas from the let's say from some events. Events means as a file comes on S3, you can trigger a Lambda. When a database or DynamoDB gets some entries in their table, a Lambda can be triggered. Okay, so those Lambda can start and process that record. So those kind of operations we can achieve with AWS Lambda. It's a platform as a service where we can go ahead and start writing our code. And charges, it's not a completely free service. The charges are based on the number of memory you use for the number of seconds. So per second billing is happening here. That means if your Lambda code runs for 10 seconds, you are going to be charged for 10 seconds. That is the way of getting charged on the Lambda. I know that many of you are not getting what I'm trying to say right now, as it is completely theoretical. Okay. But just give me 2 or 3 minutes. We'll go and we'll see its look and feel, and then we will start writing codes also. Then we will see its use cases. Its use cases are mostly when we try to process data at scale. A scale does not mean that we are trying to solve big data problem. That means GBs of data or TBs of data. This means when we have a multiple task, which we will like. It's like when we have a huge program that we would like to distribute in a multiple tasks, so that we can achieve with the AWS Lambda. Many of the mobile applications and interactive websites are using AWS Lambda as their backend processing. Machine learning insights, again, you can use this for your analysis, your guesses, your generation of machine learning. I'm forgetting that word. When we just go ahead and give some data to ML algorithm and it gives back the results. Yeah. So the results that we provide get back from machine learnings. Like we have trained a machine learning model and we have scheduled it on the SageMaker. But now we want to get the results from that machine learning model that we can achieve with the help of AWS Lambdas. And when we want to generate event-driven applications, we can go ahead and create AWS Lambda functions. Don't worry if you don't get it right now. We'll just go and start writing it. Then you will get it. OK. Its features are, as I mentioned, it is automatic scaling. Let's say, first of all, understand everything that we do on cloud. It needs some compute resources. OK. Nothing is running on virtually. It might be virtual. It might be managed for us. Like we can go and do some clicks and it's running. But eventually behind the scenes on data centers, it is running on some hardware. and the amount of hardware that is allocated to us, it's restricted. But here in Lambda function, if we need more hardware to solve our problem, we can get it automatically. Okay, and the more we use, the more we are charged. It's built-in fault tolerance. That means if your Lambda function fails due to some errors, it can restart them by itself. No need to go and manually restart that. It's completely automated administration. Like you do not need any security engineers or admin engineers to perform patching updates, security updates, installing OS or OS updates or runtime updates. It's completely free from that. It simply says bring your own code and I'll execute that for you. So this is the theoretical part. I will keep it very quick and short. If you have any questions about this generic ones, I know you still have many doubts. Just let me know, and then we will just go and try to create some Lambda functions, and then it will be easy peasy for you. And one request from my side, whenever you log in into your clouds, your personal accounts, just keep a track on bills also. Okay, if you're trying something, just keep a track on your bills also, so you don't get any unexpected amount of billings. Because unfortunately in AWS there's no way to go on some dashboard and check it out that do we have some applications running. There's nowhere for that. Meaning of serverless, see, as I mentioned, we need some hardware. We need some hardware to run our codes. Like I have my laptop. Okay, this laptop has some RAM. This laptop has some processor. The processor is particularly executing my code. So when I say a print statement also on my Python code, that processor is executing that code. It needs some hardware. It needs some processing engine. It needs some compute power. It needs some memory to execute and give you the result back. Okay. Now when we are executing that code, it's getting executed on some machines, or you can say some resources. That resources you can say as a servers. Server has a memory. It has compute power. Okay, that is called server. Serverless means when you serverless. Okay, what is server on the cloud? Okay, first of all, understand that. So Amazon Redshift is a server-based service. We go ahead inside the Redshift and we create a server for us. So we say that I need this much of memory configuration with me, and I need this much of computation power with me. And basically, I'm saying I need this capabilities in my server and provide it to me. That is a server-based service. You are renting a server and then you are using that. Serverless means you are not worrying about how much memory you need, how much compute engines you need, or how much duration you need. You simply go ahead and create your function and run your code. Behind the scene, that server is still there. Okay, it is still executed by the cloud, but it is not managed by us. In that case, we can call it serverless for the users, serverless for me and you, but it is not eventually serverless. Okay, just understand this thing. In cloud, serverless means when we guys are not managing the clusters or servers, then it is serverless. When we are managing it, then it is a server service. Okay. Then if we go on the AWS Lambda console, so this is my landing page. If you already have some Lambda functions created for yourself, you can come down here. They will be listed here. And remember, it is a regional service. So you have like these all functions have been created by me in this Mumbai region. Okay. If you just go and try to switch the region, you will not see any other functions. Okay, and then if I come back to my Mumbai, I will see all of those. It's very easy to create a Lambda function. Okay, we all just have to go on, click on create function. We have to say there are some blueprints also there. You can utilize those if you want. Then we have to say author from scratch. We need to provide a function name here. Okay, I'm not going to create it right now. Just say test. And then we have to choose the runtime. Runtime means we have to choose the supported programming languages. So I can simply go ahead and use Python 3.10. Architecture is the base behind the scenes behind the scene infrastructure or architecture that you want to use. We are fine with the default one then we have. And then we have to use the default execution role. So as I have explained to you in the yesterday's class, we have to create the roles for our Lambda functions, okay, or for our any service that where we want to interact with two services altogether. We will have to create the roles. So I'll cancel it for now. Okay, then now understand how it is utilized in the data engineering field. So we have talked about its uses in the broader environment, like for the broader use cases, but how it is utilized in the AWS field, this data engineering field. So if I give you examples, right now you can see this is the function we are going to check in few seconds. I had this requirement, okay, like if you go on the IAM service, and if you go in the users, so users are assigned with a access key. Okay, we can go ahead and create the access keys for user. So if I just go inside this, I'm not sure if it has the access keys or not. If you go in the security credentials, so you can see this particular user has one access key assigned to it. Okay, and it was created 88 days ago. Now issue is there's no way on this console to send an email to the users automatically that this particular user's access key is more than 88 days old. And in my project, we had the requirement to change it in every 45 days. We had to send the emails to users who had their access keys created more than 45 days old. Now, one way to do it, like I come on this IAM console, I check every user and I just look into their access keys, and I see their created days, details, and I send them email manually. But it's it's a bit not a great practice. Okay. How do I automate this? So I can automate this with the help of Lambda functions. So if I say in the example of data engineering, a Lambda function can also go ahead and interact with any of the AWS service that we have. We can create automations with the help of Lambda functions for our project, such as taking the backup of the S3 buckets, triggering the glue jobs, triggering the some Redshift copy process, getting change the capture from the DynamoDBs, running some kinesis pipelines, changing some kinesis pipelines, or doing any sort of automations like sending some emails. Those things we can automate with the help of Lambda functions. Okay. So now for the first example, we are going to see this IAM expiry check. Okay. So motto here is, as I explained you, task is we have to list the users. Listing users means we have to get the number of users that we have. That means for all the users, we want to see if they have the access key, if they don't have the access key, if they have the access key, and if the access key is more than 45 days old, we have to print a message that their access key is older than 45 days old. You can also go ahead and send the emails, but email part we will see in the later stage. For now, we will just focus on our simple automation work. Okay, so I'm going to open this code. And this is the code I have with me. Okay, So before I start explaining this code, if you have any questions about this.
Jalaj, can you just show me how you navigated to this one?
Yes, it's an easy one. Just if we come on Lambda dashboards, go inside the functions. I have already created this function. You will have to click the create function. That I will explain you. Okay, just don't worry about that part. Or maybe let's just start from the scratch only. Okay, so what we will say create function. Okay, so let's just start from the scratch. We are on the Lambda landing page. We are inside the functions. Let's say we want to start we want to create a function. Let's create a function. I have to choose my function name, so I am going to say IAM key name. I'm going to say it. Runtime I will choose as an my Python 3.10. Okay, then architecture is fine with x86-64. Now if I click on change default execution rule, I have to use a IAM role. Now what we are going to do with this function, we are going to interact with IAM service using this function. Okay, so I'll first one come on the IAM. I will go inside the roles. So that what I'm doing here is, before going ahead and creating this function, I need to have a role which is having the sufficient permission to finish my task. Okay, I'll come on my IAM roles. Inside IAM, I'll go on roles. I'll click on create role. I am fine with entity type as AWS service. What AWS service I want to give assign access to? I want to assign my accesses to my Lambda function. So I will select Lambda as my service that I want to assign accesses. Okay. Then I'll go ahead and click on next. Here, first I need my basic Lambda execution. So I will just go ahead and click on basic. I'll type basic. So see, basic Lambda execution rule, you can say it is required by every Lambda function. Okay. Without this permission, no Lambda function can go ahead and write their logs on CloudWatch logs. So you might be running your Lambda functions. You can see their result on the like you won't be able to see its results unless you go ahead and provide this basic Lambda execution rules. You won't be able to see its logs on the CloudWatch log. So it is kind of mandatory things. This function, remember this AWS Lambda execution rule. Maybe I can just copy it and paste it to you guys. Okay, and then I need, see what I'm going to work with. I am going to work with IAM. So I can say IAM, just press enter. Now we have IAM full access, IAM read-only access, IAM user access. But for my service, my requirement, I know I just need to read the information from the IAM resources. So I'm fine with IAM read-only accesses. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on next. So you can see, and I'm going to provide the name as IAM read access Lambda. Okay. Then I will just simply come down and say, what is this? Okay, I think I missed to select the first permission, so I have to edit this and select the other one also. The Lambda basic execution rule. We should have two permissions there. Yes, I missed to calculate. You missed to check this box. So just click on next. And now we will see that we have two permissions here. AWS Lambda basic execution role, I am read-only access. So one question will be there in your mind that how we will decide that how many permissions we need. So, sorry, when you practice more and when you go in real-time environments, when they say that you need to go ahead and trigger a glue job, then you need first of all you need basic lambda execution, and you also need to interact with glue. So obviously we need to have a glue access also. Chances are your security engineer will give you this roles created by himself. If you have to create, so any service that you are going to connect with from AWS Lambda, you have to get that access listed here in this role. Okay. So, and don't worry if you don't get it completely. Today we are going to work with IAM. Tomorrow we are tomorrow we are going to work with S3s, and we are going to work with a mini project that we are going to do on the latest stage of this course. There we are going to work with AWS recognition, AWS tax track. We are also going to create our Lambda functions for DynamoDB and for Amazon Kinesis. So I'm going to give you plenty of examples which will make you comfortable with creating the roles and Lambda functions. Now, moving ahead, I just have to click on create role. So I can just simply come back here and I will say use existing role. So if I just select create a role with basic Lambda permissions, it is only going to assign you one permission, that is going to be a basic Lambda permissions. Okay. And now I'm just going to use an existing role which I have already created for me, and going to search for that here. I am read access Lambda. This is the one which I'm going to use, and click on create function. So just a reminder, we need function name, we need runtime, we need a correct IAM role for us to create the Lambda function. Okay, we all good till here? Okay, so I'm going to hit the create function. Now I'm just going to get my code copy pasted here. So here we have the button of called deploy. Deploy means actually saving the code. Okay. So now let me just get this on Notepad. Okay. So here I have my code with me. Okay. So in the every Python code, all the import functions will be there on top. Okay. This needs all the libraries that we need. We are going to get them here. JSON, I have got it here, so we can actually remove this also. We haven't utilized this. Then I have my Boto3. So Boto3, just remember this Boto3 name. Boto3 is the library that we use to write any program that interacts with AWS services in the AWS for Python. Okay, so technically Boto3 is the Python 3 SDK in the cloud that help us to connect with other AWS services programmatically. Okay, so like in this code, we are going to connect with IAM. For that, Boto3 is going to help us. Boto3 is the important library to understand in the cloud engineering for AWS data engineer part. Then we have date from the date time, and then we have import date time. Okay. Now in Python, if you remember, when we had that crash course in Python, I never told you about any main functions in Python. Like if you have learned C, Java, or .NET, all these programming languages have some main function, which is the entry point or the starting point of that particular code or program. But here in Python, there is nothing like that. Okay, there's no need to be any main function. Whichever, if we have coded our program in functions, whichever function is got called first, that's going to be our starting point. Okay, the function which has been or if we have not written our code in function, then Python code is going to run in step-by-step mode. But here only the exception is AWS Lambda functions. Here this Lambda handler treats as the entry point of your Python code execution. Okay, so this has two variables. We are going to talk about these variables in great detail in S3 class, but just understand for now, event variable receives the events. So all the inputs that you are going to pass it to this Lambda functions are you are going to get in this event variable. Context, as I mentioned, this code needs some resources to run. Which programming language, which infrastructure, how much memory, some general configurations are passed by this context variable to its hardware. Developers has nothing, or you can say developers have very rare cases of using this context. We mostly use or always use this event variable, but it has to be there. Okay. So your Lambda handler will always be there, and its definition is always going to be like this only: DEF, Lambda handler, event, and context. This line you will very rarely see it's going to change. Okay, because this is the entry point of your Lambda functions. Then, as I mentioned, Boto3 is the library that we use to connect with our other AWS services. So now my Lambda function is going to try to connect with IAM. Okay, so for that I have say Boto3, my name of the SDK client, and in bracket I have to pass on the service name. So this line, whenever you want to interact with IAM, is going to be same. There's nothing going to be changed. This left hand side variable, you can name it as per your convenience. I have named it IAM. You can go ahead and name it IAM client, IAM service, or anything that you want to know, that you want to code. Okay. So are we good till here?
Yeah.
Okay, so first thing that we have to do is get the listed users. That first we have to find out, like, because as this code, like, users can vary. We cannot hard code that we have 10 users, 12 users, or 100 users. So first we have to get the number of users that we have. Okay. For that, as we have seen, if you remember in for loop, I said this is the variable. Okay, so it's like for in this variable, whatever I have in this result. Okay, so I am saying I am this line number 8, the left hand side variable name. Okay, if this is IAM underscore client, then it will be IAM underscore client. Okay, do not get it confused with this one which I have selected right now. Okay, this is not same. I am saying, okay, go into my IAM service and list users. List users is a function. So let me just copy this list users and come here. Just type this and say Boto3. Go in the documentation. Here, this is the complete documentation of Boto3. Okay, so you no need to memorize these codes. Okay, we no need to go ahead and memorize these codes, like what list users is doing, what list access keys is doing, or what all those services are doing. we no need to go ahead and memorize these things. We should understand these things by referring the documentation, because there are more than thousands of functions. You cannot go ahead and memorize those. Okay. So right now my requirement is to list the users. So for that I need to find a function, and that is the list users. I am going inside my IAM. In the clients, I am inside my list users. What it does, it lists the IAM users that have the specified path prefix. So for now we haven't used any path prefix. We are just listing each and every users. So that says if no path prefix is specified, its operation is going to return all the users in the particular account. And same thing we want. So then we have two important things. We have important thing as request syntax, the one which we have to use for calling purpose. Then we have the response syntax. If I just slightly come down like this, which gives you the output back. So we just it's like we raise a query and then we get answer in some format. Those things have formats. Raising a query is known as request syntax, and outputs that we get is known as response syntax. So if you check my thing here, I am using list users, and inside this list users, I'm not passing any variables. So if you check my request syntax, I could have passed the path prefix to filter out my results, marker to know the page numbers, and the maximum items that I want to get back. All the parameters are actually explained here. If those are mandatory parameters, you will see in bracket required written here on this documentation. But as for these things, we have nothing, so we can escape these things. Okay, and that is our that is still fulfilling our requirement. We no need to pass anything here for our use case. We just need to call this list users. Okay, on a client that we have created here is known as client, and our variable is IAM. Okay, so I'm going to list the users. It is going to give me back all these users which are listed here. Okay, but not in this format. The format is going to be this format. Okay, it is going to be in this format. So if I just get it back with me, so here you can see, as I also request you to go and refresh the dictionaries and list. So this is starting from the curly braces. Okay, this means this is a example of a dictionary. This output I'm getting in the format of a dictionary. Okay. Then on level one, we have three variables. We have users, we have truncated, and then we have marker. But you can see that I have my important things like user IDs, ARN, some other things. I have all those things inside my users variable, and I'm currently interested in user ID. Okay, so this means if I can list my users and if I can get their user IDs, I can try to reach to their access keys. Okay, so that's exactly what I'm doing. In my code, I am getting list users. List users will get me this complete output, which is here. Okay, but I'm only interested in this part. That's why in my code I have restricted it back to I have restricted my results to users. Okay, then if you see, this users is basically a list. You can see it's starting with square brackets, and this is not defined by me. Okay, so do not get confused here. It is the standard request syntax. So this users has this is a list. It is ending here. You can see it here. It is ending here. This is the users details. From this user details, I'm interested in user ID. So what I'm doing here, see, and yes, one more thing. Remember, this details is for one user. I have more than 10 users. So I'll get it. I'll get this list 10 times. That's what I'm saying here in my code. List users get the users details only, or for all the user list. Okay. So first time I will get my this user, AWS full access user. I'll get this user. My code will list its detail. From its complete details are going to be pasted in my user list. Okay, so this is going to be like this. Users it's going to take, and it's going to take it like this. This is my user list variable now. How I'm getting it? I'm getting it from it's 24, not 22. Let me just remove this. So I'm just getting it from this this users, like all its response restricting to users detail only. I'm placing in user list. Okay, for one of the user I will get this user list which is there. This user list I will get for one of the users. From this list I'm just interested in username. This is the thing which I'm interested in, username. So like this I can get my username. And remember, I'm still inside my for loop. So I'm just printing the username which I got, and I'm just going to perform my access key validation for that particular user. So I have, let's say this gives me 10 users. Okay, and I am only taking one at a moment and processing it. Okay. So out of 10, like I'm just giving 10 as a random number. Actual users I have is 9. Okay, so I will get these users listed here. I will get my username printed. Then for that particular user, let's say I get first user, and I'm going to start that. So for that user, I need to list the access keys. Okay, I need to list the access keys. Like I am going inside this user. I will go inside the security credentials. This is I'm going from this is I'm doing from console. Obviously from program it's a bit different thing. So you can see this user has 2 access keys. Okay, and I want to list these access keys. So as I have listed my users, okay, as I've got my list of users, I'm going to get my list of access keys. So this is the function I have used, list access keys. Let's just check this function also. So it says it returns the information about the access key IDs associated with the specific IAM users. This means it is going to return the information about the access keys which are associated with the IAM users. Okay. So this needs a request syntax. We need list access keys. We need marker and max items. We are not interested in these two things. We want to list the access keys per user basis. That's why I am going to pass my user name. So to get this username, I have already done a for loop. I have got my username, and that username I'm passing in here. So you can see username I'm passing as my username. So this is see this username which I have selected now. Okay, this username which I have selected now is coming from line number 12. Okay, from my user list one by one I'm getting my username. So from this user list I'm just interested in this username. All these details I am simply dropping off. I got my username and that username I've got here, and I'm passing it here in the username variable. Remember, it's a case sensitive language. Your U and your N has to be in capital letter as it is mentioned on the document. Once I fire this query, I am going to get my response syntax. So that is in this form. This has access key metadata. Okay, and it has username, access key ID, its status, and its create date. This create date I am interested in. Okay, so what I'm doing right on next line, same way I am saying key value. Okay, or this user keys I am going to apply for loop. From this user keys I'm only interested in my access key metadata. Okay, from that user list I'm only interested in my accessing my access key metadata. Then from that, like this is what I'm going to get from this is what I'm going to get from my for loop one by one. So I'll just copy paste it here. This is my access key metadata that is what I've got. So it's actually make it equal and remove this. Then I'm saying, first of all, I'm checking if access keys metadata status is active. I'm not interested in the inactive keys. I'm only interested in the active keys. That's why I'm saying this key value, like this all variable, we can say, I can say it like this. What I'm saying, this is my key value. See, understand it again. Access key metadata information I have saved using for loop. I have saved it using for loop inside the key value variable. Okay. I see again repeating. List access keys give me complete details into user keys. From this user keys, I restrict my information to access key metadata only. From access key metadata, I just save that information one by one in key value. In key value, I have this status and I'm checking if it is active. Okay. If my status is active, I'm getting current date. I am subtracting the create date from the current date. Okay. So this key value create date is going to give me a date like this. Example date like this it's going to give me, and this is going to be in the form of timestamp. Okay, remember this is going to be in the form of timestamp. To run this subtract, my both the variables on left hand side and right hand side are supposed to be in same date format, and this current date is going to give me data type as date. That's why I have converted my date time into date. To that, like I have to use this, call this date function, and it's going to convert my timestamp. Okay, it's going to convert my timestamp into a date like this. Okay, so again repeating, listed my users, got my usernames. Using these usernames, I listed their user keys. Okay, there could be more than one access keys for those users. I listed the user keys. From this user keys, I check if my user key is active. If it is active, I get the current date. From the current date, I minus my create date. Okay, this is going to give me number of active days. Okay, this is going to give me number of active days. Then I'm saying if active days are more than 45, if these are more than 45, it's going to say your keys are expired and need to be rotated. Here I am calling print statement. You could have gone ahead and called the SNS function to send the emails. That's what I have done in the real time. I am going to teach you in the later stage that how we can send the emails from our codes. This is the complete code. Take 2 or 3 or 5 minutes of time. Okay. Try to process this in your mind step by step. If you don't get it completely, and no issues, don't try to remember these function names. Don't try to memorize these things. Just understand the step by step process. It's a day one. I know this is a completely new thing. We will need some more practice. We will need some more efforts to understand these things completely. But if you have any questions, you can let me know. Take your time.
Yes.
Wait.
Yeah. So generally you're writing the AWS functions like for the different aspects like data processing or loading the tables or something else. So what is the common steps we have to follow, like the background, like skeleton of the script for this Lambda functions? Of course, so based on the type of work, the scripts will change, right? So like, what are the main criteria to develop the script for the Lambda functions?
Okay, first of all, a Lambda function is not an ETL tool. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might get this question in interviews also. Like we can run Python codes in Lambda functions also, and we can run the same codes in the glue also. Mm-hmm. But why don't we do ETL on the Lambda function? Because it is not optimized for ETL. Okay, here we don't have the libraries like Spark or the Scala or this Pandas. We don't have those libraries with our Lambda functions. So it is more used for your specific tasks. You can say Lambda functions are more built for automating the task, automating the process, and one Lambda function should do one thing only. Okay, you are not supposed to create too many functions or write too many things inside the Lambda functions, because one restriction is there. A Lambda function cannot execute more than 15 minutes. So if your code is requiring more than 15 minutes, it will get terminated automatically. Now coming to specifically to your question, the skeleton kind of things. Okay. It depends. Again, I'm saying in data engineering, there's no straight answer that we will use these things. So let's say you are using Lambda functions for triggering your job. Obviously, you will need to find a trigger, like from where and what action you want to trigger and what you want to trigger. Like for this example which we have in front of us, we are looking to get the IAM users details. So for that, we have to list some users, then we have to list their keys, and then do some calculation. So there's no hard coded or there's no kind of skeleton we can build. It has to be a code or requirement specific. You cannot. I mean, if in a specific project we are writing functions which are kind of doing same activity but for different scenarios, then you might go ahead and create some skeleton. But like this, we don't have something like that.
I think later we'll discuss the same Lambda functions for the data processing from the source to target, right? Then we can explore more.
Again, I'm repeating, Lambda is not used for your data transformation or data processing. You should not. I mean, you can, but you should not.
Yeah, usually at client sites, they'll use the Lambda functions, right, to trigger from the data always, instead of going the glue console or EMR clusters.
As I'm saying, triggering, yes. So if you are triggering multiple glue jobs, let's say you have a project where you are triggering hundreds of glue jobs, so then you can have a skeleton of triggering the glue jobs. You can create some function, then you can change those variables, and you can have kind of 100 same Lambda functions to trigger 100 jobs. That you can have, but for different use cases, this structure is also going to be different.
Okay. Is there any use case with you working with a REST API with the Lambda function?
No.
No.
I don't have. I mean, you can have, but I don't have.
Okay. Okay. Like usually when writing the Lambda functions for the script, what the steps we have to follow? Initially, we have to define that function, and then we have to include it whether based on the job related, right? Yes.
So Lambda handler is the main important functions. Then you can have multiple other functions, and you can call them as per your requirements. Sequentially, you need to create a IAM role which has sufficient permission. So if I go ahead and change this role, which do not have IAM access, we will get the access denied at this error. It won't be able to list the users.
Okay.
But basically, what is API?
Application package interface. Where it is?
No. I mean, like normally it's a kind of API connectivity, something we'll speak, right? In cloud.
That's application package interface. That's the full form, and it's like let's say you want to connect with Glue and all those things. Like whenever some service they have console and you want to connect it with programmatically, the programmatic access to that service is called API. You can call it like that.
Okay, with some sort of script, we will connect to that particular database or particular tool.
Yeah, so it's like mostly this. I don't know why I'm getting that to me. Can you guys mute? Maybe I don't know. It's getting recorded. Hello. Yeah, it's fine now. See, API is mostly used in the web interfaces, but here if you see, for me, I'll say, let's say I have like for this example only, we can go ahead and do this from IAM console also. We can go ahead and do it, but we are calling the APIs of the this IAM list users is, you can say, it's a kind of an API only. Okay, that is helping you to interact with the IAM programmatically. Just 1 second, guys. 1 second, guys.
Okay.
Site chat. Yes, please tell me.
So normally when we want to, yeah, please carry on.
Just are you working as a client side on that?
Your voices got recorded, but I think you asked, am I working on the client side?
And yeah, AWS.
Yes, so we are directly connecting with the clients daily basis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that will be good, so that you will have an idea, in the real time. You can give some examples of real time scenarios. That will help.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, this is the real time only. Like I got this solution in. This was a real problem that we had. Like we had many users listed in, like there were more than 50 users, and those guys were not changing their access keys, and that was a requirement. That was a security thread. You had to change those in 45 days, every 45 days. So that's why we did this automation. It might look a simple code, but it's a good one actually.
Okay.
Or I'll say it's a good example to start your Lambda function journey. Some meaningful, but short and crisp, and but meaningful.
Can I have? I mean, that's at the script.
Can you just type your question? Or let me just go on mute.
Right. Thank you. Now it's clear. There is no echo. Yeah. Could you please provide the script for this text file or in this chart?
Yeah, sure. The scripts I will be sharing always.
Okay.
Actually, sometimes I do share this with some bugs, so you guys can try and fix that. I'm not sure where it is. So it is this one. Just take it. And Lambda basic execution role and IAM read access. This,
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions? I'm still open.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah, hi. I have one question, Dylan. Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, means I am asking that means IAM role you have mentioned, right? So you have created on your means on the root user, right? Am I right?
From?
On your root user you have created that
Yes,
role, right?
Yes.
So for example, means in an organization, one root user will be there with the admin, and there will be multiple users will be there. I am one user and you may be another user, like that. Okay. So my question is like, can you means user can create roles or only root user can create the role? Means if for example,
Okay. Any user who have the access of creating the IAM roles can create.
Okay.
So if you remember, yesterday I created a IAM user which was having the S3 read access permissions. Okay. But if I create a user which has IAM full access, then he can go ahead and create the users also.
Okay, that role also can be used by another user also.
Yes. There is and obviously, if your security guys, on toes, he won't give you IAM access.
Yeah, I'm on the real time basis. I was thinking because I was like trying to do new to that. I'm just creating one user role, okay, to assessing that, but somehow I'm not able to execute the permission. I'm not getting the proper permission for that. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions?
So, Jaraj, I think we are writing the script for the lambda user defined things, right? So, so by looking into the Python code, so someone should be very expert, because I think that program is looks like somewhat expertise at those who can't write for the beginner kind of thing. So someone should be expert, while accessing or working with the lambda with the Python related scripting, something like that.
See, I won't say expert if you understand. So see, if you are good enough in Python to read and understand this code, then you're good. Because when I coded this, I also took the help of internet. I founded these functions by help of internet, and then I coded and used this. So you should be, you might not be in the position to write those things from scratch, but you should be in a position to get help from internet, understand that, and utilize that for your use cases.
Uh, but at least we need to build that, the body of the content and everything, right? Basically,
So
yeah,
that will need some practice.
right.
Can you hear me now?
Come again, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, try, Vasha.
Yeah. The same way, today we wrote the Python program. So the same way we are writing the PySpark application in the same place.
Not same way. PySpark is we cannot use PySpark on Lambda functions. It has to be on Glue only.
So suppose if I have to read a history of the lambda function, then I should use normal Python.
Sorry, I'm not getting it. But having a thing, if you have to read a Lambda function or something, SC file or something, no? So
Like program to the program, I am creating a history object or reading a content of a history object like that. So to the
see, you
lambda
can do
function,
it. Yes. You can do it with Lambda functions. But again, I'm saying data processing is not optimized on Lambda functions. Don't do it. Don't say in interviews also that I was doing data processing using Lambdas. It's always ETL. Some things are not paid. See, you can travel from bike by up to like you can travel from bike to many cities. Like you can uh, go via bike to 500 kilometers or 1,000 kilometers. But a bike is not built for that. It is built for intercity traveling. For 500 or 1,000 kilometers, you should go for by train or airplane. Those are the optimized ways. A bike is not the optimized way. So you are saying, can I use a bike for 1,000 kilometers riding? Yes, you can, but you should not.
okay, so PySpark in lambda function we are not writing PySpark. Only
PySpark is not supported, first of all. It's only Python. PySpark is not supported on Lambda function. It is not a data transformation tool. It is just a microprocessing architecture where you want to automate your simple tasks, daily tasks.
See, one doubt. See what Varsha is referring to. See, PySpark is something that we write Python on Spark engine, right?
Yes, exactly.
So how the PySpark can fit into Lambda? I also.
I'm saying PySpark is not supported here.
Okay, okay,
You can do data processing using Python's data frames. That is, yes, you can do, but still I'm saying you should not.
okay.
Okay, I'll just stop the recording.